YouTube? I am back and I'm here with my friend Sulai.
Hi. Wait, as a disclaimer, excuse my background if it gets loud. I have loud black people in my house and a loud background outside my window. So yeah, but hi.
And for the sake of confusion, Sulai is how her name is supposed to be pronounced, but I also call her Zulay. So when I call her Zoo later on, and I also have various nicknames for her, so yeah, just be forewarned. Anyone new to my channel, if this is mainly new booktube viewers watching, then you might not recognize her, but old folks, she was in my Discourse on Blackness video, which I will put a link to in the description if you guys are interested in watching. All right, so into the actual video.
Wait, is that really the only video I've done with you?
Yeah.
Damn.
Because you don't.
I'm trash.
Yeah, you are. Although, baby, at least you know. So anyway, so this is from Midnight Sun. As per usual with my videos, I will be reading the summary before we dive into the books. It's here! #1 best-selling author Stephanie Meyer makes a triumphant return to the world of Twilight with this highly anticipated companion, the iconic love story of Bella and Edward, told from the vampire's point of view. When Edward Cullen and Okay, take two.
Oh, you almost called Bella a bedwench, Lily. You need to address.
Alright, let's try this again.
I'm not comfortable with that, ma'am.
Wait, let me drink some tea. Hold on. Okay. I'm not even gonna start from the beginning. I'm just gonna start from where I left off. Okay. When Edward Cullen and Bella Swan met in Twilight, an iconic love story was born. But until now, fans have heard only Bella's side of the story. At last, readers can experience Edward's version in the long-awaited companion novel, Midnight Sun. This unforgettable tale, as told through Edward's eyes, takes on a new and decidedly dark twist. Meeting Bella is both the most unnerving and intriguing event he has experienced in all his years as a vampire. As we learn more fascinating details about Edward's past and the complexity of his inner thoughts, we understand why this is the defining struggle of his life. How can he justify following his heart if it means leading Bella into danger? In Midnight Sun, Stephanie Meyer transports us back to a world that has captivated millions of readers and brings us an epic novel about the profound pleasures and devastating consequences of immortal love.
So ominous.
Right? And also, it just sounds so good though.
It does. It does.
Is this the Twilight that everybody proclaimed to hate after they all loved it? And
okay.
Friendships over #team Edward or Jacob?
Girl, I will definitely tell you that it was daily arguments at the cafeteria in 8th grade about these two men, and
yeah,
I'm ashamed, but I'm not ashamed.
So when the books came out, when the movies came out rather, I had a cop out. I said I was Edward in the book.
Oh yes, girl. I remember those days. Me too.
Why not?
Cheating ass. They were mad. They were I was like, nah, but they're different. How are you gonna make me listen?
Exactly though.
Edward is bae, but Taylor. Whoo, I used to love Taylor.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start with just kind of general overview thoughts, but this is gonna be spoilers. This is gonna have all of the spoilers. So I will let you guys know when that's gonna happen. So what did you overall rate it?
I gave it a 4 stars on Goodreads. And for a brief second, I considered giving it 5, and I was like, nah. There were a few things that I didn't like. So for me, it's somewhere between a 4 and a 4.5.
Okay, so 4.25.
4.25. I could do with that. Mm-hmm.
So I also gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, and I feel like I would I might do 4.25 too, or even 4.5, because I really did enjoy it. I think I liked Bella through Edward's eyes more than I liked Bella through her own, and even a little bit more than I liked Edward through her own eyes as well.
Yes.
It was nice delving deeper into his thoughts. And just seeing how he experienced the world and how he thought about the world and himself, and seeing what he saw in Bella made me, if not necessarily see it also, it just made me understand that relationship a little bit more. There were definitely still things that I'm just like, okay, you guys are both stupid. But I understood it a lot more.
He's too perfect, he's too everything, he's infallible, and it's just unrealistic and toxic, honestly. But this book humanizes him a lot more, which is ironic considering all of his self-hate that he has going on,
his hang-ups and all that stuff. Okay, so from this point forward, you should stop watching. And I'm gonna give you a second because knowing myself, like I would like wait and I'll be like, okay, let me just hear just a little bit. Like I can't control what I hear. But so there's no real spoilers because this is just Twilight, again, if you've read it. But if you haven't read it, if for whatever reason you want to wait to
if you haven't read it, you honestly shouldn't be reading this book first. You need to go read the other books first and experience, right? So that, because it's not going to have the same impact.
Yes. But if you have read it, and even if you haven't read it, but you've read Twilight and you still just want to hear all the things, from this point forward, it's the point of no return. The point of no return. I think that's Phantom. I think that's.
I have to ask you where that was from.
Okay, so where do you even want to start dissecting this, girl? Where do you?
Oh, girl, listen. I pulled up my book review, okay, because I would not know where to start otherwise. So I guess I'll tell you like how I felt overall about the book, and then I guess we could dive into like the specifics.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this book like a lot. Like a lot of the people said on the Goodreads like reviews and stuff, her writing has gotten better. To be honest, I never hated her writing to begin with.
Yeah, I thought like descriptively, I thought her descriptions were good and stuff like that.
Yeah,
sentence structure, like she knows, has a grasp of the English language.
But there were people who like really didn't like it, and that was not me. Like I liked it, and even going back and reading it, I was like, oh, am I gonna hate this writing style again? And I didn't. Like I said, I hated her portrayal of Edward from Bella's point of view, but the writing itself I did not mind. But it definitely has gotten stronger. I like that the world is so much more colorful. Like I like that we get to see everybody's interactions with Edward.
And I feel like it's more colorful because, I don't remember exactly how you phrased it. So you can definitely, tell the people, but the way that Edward and Bella see each other are very different, or the way like Edward thinks that Bella is his everything and she's not, because he still has a family. He still thinks about the other people in his life. He still has to protect her. He still has to go off and leave her so that he can hunt. So she's not his everything, or not in the way that he means.
Right. So what I said was that she is the center of his universe, or the center of his world, whereas he is her entire world.
Yes.
Like I was reading, so like I said, like this made me want to go back and read it, and I'm reading Eclipse right now, and when they go visit Renee, and Renee, like for the 1 second that she's not being a self-absorbed, like badass, like not badass, like ooh cool, but like terrible mom.
Yeah. Bad space
ass, right? Not badass, right? She was like, the way that you guys are with each other is like so strange. Like he is so protective of you, and like he looks like he's ready to jump in front of a bullet for you at any second. And she's like, and Bella tries to plays it off, and then her mom's like, nah, but like the way you are with him too, like you orient yourself around him. Like he moves like one step and you immediately change position so that you're still oriented around him. And that is unhealthy. Like that's unhealthy.
Meeting Bella was his midnight, but Edward is her son. Yes.
You're so corny.
That is going to be copywritten. That's going to be patented. I want all rights to go to me when you guys use that phrase. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. But yeah, like his world had so much more color to it, which is so funny because he's a creature of the night, and so you wouldn't necessarily expect it to be like that. But his relationships are so much richer because he cares about more people, and he truly cares about them.
Bella, I mean, okay, so that thing about Renee's mind being like her sort of being able to influence you with her, like, bro, as a vampire, that would have been crazy.
Oh my God, can you imagine? I was thinking about what her power would be if she were to become a vampire.
Like,
yes. So you know how Jasper can like influence your emotions?
Yes.
This girl could probably like influence your actions.
More than that. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so it's very interesting to see. I loved that was included. I don't know if Stephanie Meyer thought about that like belatedly, or if she already had the idea of what her parents were like. But I love that this was included here. And though Edward never mentioned, it was probably just like a passing curiosity to him. Like, I mean, yes, he was curious, but it wasn't like, oh, here, let me tell you, Bella, why you are so weird, or but I think that's so interesting, and to see sort of what that power created in Bella. Like the fact that Charlie his mind isn't clear. I loved that too.
I love that. Yes, me too.
So I like that Bella wasn't the special snowflake. I think that's the thing. I think in Edward's world, there's more depth. As you said, there's more color, but there's more to the people. Like Bella isn't like the only one who he can't read, which, obviously she is, but that doesn't, it's not as central. Like, there's more to the story. It's a fuller story from his perspective.
It's why he became obsessed with her, but there's more to it. Like, what Bella is forever focusing on with Edward is his absolute perfection. His golden, like, molten eyes, and how she can't breathe.
Topaz, okay?
So yes, you're right.
When I was reading Midnight Sun, there were a few points where I went and I jumped back to Twilight so that I could read the perspective from Bella's point of view. And so I was listening to the book for some of it. And so when I was listening to the guy reading, I would be reading Bella's. And it was so crazy. It was so.
It sounds like a mind trip.
It was, but it was so cool. So the first time I saw Liquid Topaz, I was like, I have not.
Oh my God, I forgot about Liquid Topaz.
So his Liquid Topaz eyes. So please get it right. It's not molten golden. It's not none of that. Sorry. It's Liquid Topaz.
You're right. My bad, girl. My bad. You're right. But yeah, she's just so focused on that part, his physical aspect. Like, okay, let's talk about these people's relationship, okay? Because
yes, let us.
Okay, so I can understand why Edward is so deeply in love with her. And even though I'm up to
it started with the fixation, but
it did, but it really progressed because he like got to know her. And even though I'm up to Eclipse, like I'm really trying to figure out what it is. I feel like I might have to reread Twilight, and I'm so upset because I really don't want to. But like I don't understand what it is about him beyond his physical appearance and like the danger of it that she's attracted to him. Like, he is forever talking in Midnight Sun. He's forever talking about how gentle and kind she is and how considerate she is of other people's feelings. And like,
but I don't see that from her perspective, or not really from his. Honestly,
I think he's reading into a lot of stuff because he can't read her mind.
And
but at least that's his perception of her. So like, it makes sense why he thinks like she's pure and good. She's just like, oh my God, like a Botticelli angel would kill to have his face. Ma'am, sit down.
And being beautiful, like, that does not mean that you're a good person.
Right.
And, okay, so he doesn't drink human blood. He drinks animal, and that's great. But that could be because of a conscience. But that could be so he could keep his lifestyle too, like, so that he doesn't have to leave so soon when people are suspicious and like these.
That's exactly what it is. That's because they wanted to be more like permanent. They didn't want to be as transient. That's why, part of that.
And, because you never see them in the day, they have like the weird manner, like they may be as human as possible, but they still have unusual mannerisms. And so they're the new people in a small town, especially because even when they come,
because they always live in a small town too.
Or, because they have to be the new, which is actually kind of stupid. Why not live? So,
because like a lot of the cities are like but Seattle's pretty,
and it's still rainy there.
Yeah, I don't know, girl.
Because it would be easier to blend in.
Yes. Maybe they just like no, because I was gonna say maybe they just like the small town life, but like Rosalie was from Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
This nigga, oh, sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on your channel.
Whatever, man. That's cool.
This nigga Carlisle is from London. Like, Edward is from Chicago. You know, like these are pretty big cities.
Mm-hmm. And you can be in this city in winter and no one will really care about you reappearing. And then you can like, and I guess this comes down to like the transient lifestyle, but depending on where you are, like there are some cities that while it may not be like rainy or as cloudy as like a Seattle, perhaps, I mean, they can go to London. I mean, but then the story, you know, that'll change where the story is, but whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, you can find another, like if they were in New York, like seeing someone in a hoodie in the weather, like people might be like, okay, that's kind of weird, but
not that much. When I was working 2 summers ago, remember I told you the kids would have the hoodies on all through the summer?
Yeah, and especially with them playing as teenagers, like that's perfectly natural. Or, you know, people have like weird fashion sense or stuff like that. Or honestly, even because they're so pale, just like walking around with an umbrella for the sunlight.
Yes, because they would get a sunburn.
And that's perfectly normal. Like that would be fine. So honestly, I feel like it would make sense to be in big cities, but since they're not.
Since they're not, this is what we're stuck with. Let me tell you that okay, so this is supposed to be eclipse, but I'm sorry, midnight sun, but I am just thinking about like something
nice it's gonna be great. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. So there was one, I don't know what she was talking about. I remember if it was like the end of new moon or beginning of eclipse or whatever. But she was just like, no, but like you're different, and it gave me very much like I'm a white girl and you're my black boyfriend, but like you different, like you different. You're not like them other black people. Like it gave me very much, like it gave me those vibes, and I was like, girl, what is?
I can definitely see that. It's very interesting seeing the you're not like other girls from the perspective of the man though, rather than the girl who's like, oh, but she's a slore. Like,
yes.
Wait.
But I still think it's so, you said what?
Is slore for Mean Girls? Is that what that's?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like,
yeah.
Why was that what came out of my mouth?
A fugly slore.
But, you know, like it's very interesting seeing this from his perspective rather.
I think it's so funny how like remember when she first popped up at the school, he was like, I mean, I guess she like cute or whatever, like,
but, like
you know,
like she's kind of plain, but like maybe it's just new blood, like literally and figuratively,
right?
Interested in her. And but I love that that affection for him genuinely built. Like she was beautiful. Like he was like, wow, I can't believe I thought she was plain before. Like, but he was always just beautiful. Like there was no real room for him to grow for her. Honestly,
no, because he was perfect in her eyes.
Finding out that he was a vampire was just like, ooh, extra boost. Like he's like, you know, like he's special. He's special.
Girl, that projection of her love for Edward is ridiculous. Like she literally went from being like, oh my god, he's so cute, like who that, and then like being like, oh my god, this man wants to like kill me or something because the way he looked at her in the classroom, to then him disappearing and then him appearing and like pulling and like speaking to her for one day and being all up in her business. She's like, bro, I don't even know
so you're not ignoring me today? Or whatever the quote is.
Right. And then he like pulled her, but he didn't continue to ignore her. And then he pulled her away from the van, and then like treated her. I don't want to say like crap because he didn't treat her like crap, but like he was like, nah, you bugging. You didn't see what you thought you saw, and if you did, like ain't nobody gonna believe you anyway. To then ignore her for mad long, and then one day he just decided like, yo, I'm talking to you today, and she's like. Mad for like 2 seconds and then yields, and then he's like, oh my god, like I really like you and I shouldn't be doing it, but yo, you should stay away from me. And like he tells her all the time.
Months later, it's like you really shouldn't be with me. Okay, so I feel like sometimes people can, you know, be like modest or not really see themselves super clearly, right? And it's like, you know, you might not be as bad as you think you are, but then you find out he's a vampire who sucks blood, like drinks blood. Like,
right. And at this point, you don't even know, because when she goes to La Push and finds out from she really played with Jacob's emotions.
Also, isn't that crazy that Edward like loved he or didn't love him, he liked him.
He liked him. And now he's talking about you mongrel, stay away from my girl. Like what? Oh, he out here taking out engines from cars so Shorty won't go visit him. Like,
I'm so mad that that wasn't in Twilight because I would like to have,
girl, I'm telling you,
Midnight Sun rather, because I would like
yes.
to have seen
I
the
want the
message.
whole series from his point of view. Like, I do. I really, truly do.
I saw this article that said she has 2 more books in the series, like that she plans to do. But
in Twilight?
yes, but it's not clear if it's necessarily going to be another from Edward's point of view. I don't know. I could probably see like a Renesmee, like they're all grown
I
up.
do not care about Renesmee. Sorry to that girl.
In the article, they were speculating. They were like, maybe she might introduce like new characters into the world. And I might read it out of passing curiosity, but can you just rewrite the next 3 books from
girl, because New Moon honestly like would have such good source material to see what's going on in his life, because like remember
that whole time when he's away from her.
Yes, exactly, like he's out here hunting Victoria, he's like wallowing
also,
in
like that crazy that it ends on both of their points, like, oh, I'll be with you as long as I can last, and then bam, in New Moon he's out here leaving her in the woods,
bro. The woods
more recently than me, but Twilight is my Gone with the Wind for you. Like I remember all of the things.
Lily, please don't be saying that online like that, bro. Come on.
Listen,
I have rebranded myself.
She knows all the problematic things. She's like very racially aware of Black power, but she loves herself some Gone with the Wind. It's okay.
I do. Although I will say that like the last time I tried to reread it, I couldn't. I was like, this is too much. This is I can't do this. However, it's beautiful storytelling. Problematic as fuck. Like, do not get me wrong, but it's very nice writing and very good storytelling. You were saying something about Twilight is your Gone with the Wind.
Yes, but so that whole forest scene, like I still remember that, like, and so this is something too, the difference between them, and this isn't necessarily talking about like their love or anything like that, but the fact that he was like, I'm gonna leave for your own good, and she was like, let me jump off a cliff so that I can hear your voice, baby. I don't care if you're going to kill me, which is what you're trying to save me. Like, what?
She was bugging, okay? She was bugging. Like, I don't know.
But our friend Stephanie, she was bugged.
She was bugged. Oh my God. You know what part? Okay, and then we got to get back to Midnight Sun. But you know what part made me like really cry in New Moon? That I was like out here crying, and I was like, let me not let my cousin see me because they're gonna be like, what's wrong with this girl? Remember when Alice comes back and there's this one part where it's like the next morning and she's pretending to be asleep and Alice is in the kitchen with Charlie, and Alice is like, Charlie, like, how bad was it? And he was like, it was really bad. And Charlie's like breaking down for Alice, like how bad everything got. I was like, bro, this is not healthy. Like, and he doesn't even know about her going on motorcycles and like basically stalking danger in order to hear this man's voice. Like, he doesn't even know that part, but just hearing it was terrible.
We were talking about, I really love Charlie. I feel like I didn't really appreciate him as like 11, 12-year-old. So I thought those situations were like cringily funny. But now in retrospect, like I really like that sex talk in the clips.
Girl, I just read that part. Like I literally that was in the lot. Like, I'm in the next scene after that.
I remember being so like, again, so cringy. But
were you mortified? My face was so red. I was so red. I didn't even want to read. I was like, oh.
But I remember that, and so looking back, in this iteration, first of all, I loved seeing Charlie. Like, I liked getting even what little bit Edward could glean from him. I loved getting to see that. But I also, I really appreciate Charlie as a parent. Like, so many of these YA parents just kind of leave their kids to like gallivant across the world and do whatever, and they don't even notice. Like, so something. And I know that this isn't a thing only with minority parents, but I've only seen it in like Black or like, YA of color novels. Like in A Blade So Black, I remember her mom was like, listen, I am not Courtney's mother. Like, that I don't just like why haven't you called me? Like, I'm calling you. And like I know that people have different like parent styles, but come on, are all of the parents that oblivious? Is it easy for all of your kids to just be sneaking off with random men and learning superpowers and whatever? So I loved, one, in retrospect, I loved Charlie, but also getting his thoughts and seeing, oh my gosh, rereading that scene with Bella, like when she was leaving after the baseball diamond, like when she was like, and when she like, oh my gosh, and then hearing, I'm getting just goosebumps, like hearing that Edward, this is the first glimpse he sees of her mother, and it's just like that kind of that image, just like that's still in Charlie's mind, and just like how he was just framed in the doorway. Like, I feel like it was crazy reading it from Bella's perspective, obviously, yes, like, because she knows that she's hurting him, but actually seeing it, whoa, that was wild. And I have so much more, like, sympathy for Charlie, like, him as a parent, and, number one, he didn't ask you to come take care of him.
He didn't. You did.
And
okay,
now,
but
what'd you say?
Well, I was gonna say he didn't ask you to come take care of him, but my good sir definitely fell into the women take care of the house role.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely
this
did.
Man.
He didn't ask for it, and now you're just like throwing this at him. It's not as though he forced you to stay in Forks. It's like you could go back to your mother anytime. So I know why she did it, but obviously Charlie doesn't. And like, damn, man, like that was
really sad when he was just standing there, like in the doorway, like just stunned, like didn't know what to do. I felt so bad for him.
And whatchamacallit, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so like I want to appreciate Charlie so much more, and that's one downside to like Midnight Sun. Like I wish I saw more of Charlie. I kind of want to reread the next Twilight book so I could get more Charlie, but I like that he didn't like him, like talking about YA tropes and stuff like that. I feel like the parents don't usually even get to see enough of the boyfriend, or I don't get to see enough of that, or like a lot of the fantasy and stuff that I read as like as a kid, or as in the YA bracket like category. It was always very kind of like between the character and her beau, And
what I love about romance. Well, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well, so all I was going to say though was that I love that Charlie's kind of like tolerating him, but I love that he's still not like too keen on this guy.
He doesn't love him.
I also like, even though Renee does come around or whatever, and her flighty self is just like, okay, my Bells is happy. I like that she also sees problematic things, and I think some of it comes down from her own experience. And you remember when she's like, what have I done to her? Like that she's running away because she like loves somebody too much, So I thought that was great, but I really like that they are not too keen on him,
But and you know what the funny thing about it is that Charlie probably would have actually really liked Edward had like the first time he meets him, he's like, "Oh, my daughter is about to go play baseball," like, and everything. He's laughing, and then sis come back and she's like, "Yo, I hate this town. I don't want to be near you. Like, just let me go, Charlie." And then she disappeared. And the next thing,
were you playing baseball or were you playing baseball? Like, what just happened?
Right. And then the next thing you know, her leg is broken, her everything. Like, so I understand why. And then he like, all right, cool. It was an accident. Like, he's like, maybe these kids are too intense. But then he like starts liking him a little bit better. And then here come Edward and leave his daughter in the woods.
Again, leaving her in the woods.
Bro, the woods.
In the woods.
Like when he at the beginning of the moon, like when my good sister's all catatonic before the October, November.
Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps again. I think, okay, so I'm sorry, Kristen Stewart, but I think that was the best acting job she's ever done. She was being catatonic.
In New Moon? Girl, because, yes. Because, I mean, that's her normal.
It was in keeping with the rest of her character.
Yes. But like before that, when she's like all on the couch or whatever, right after they find her and she finally wakes up, and Charlie's like, yeah, this happened, and then they're silent. He's like, yo, Bella, like, did he leave you alone in the woods? And she was like, nah, like he just left me like on the trail or whatever, like it's my fault. And then she's asking him like, where did they go? He's like, he didn't even tell you where he was going. Like the outrage in Charlie's voice. Poor Charlie, bro. Honestly, poor Charlie.
And then especially, like, okay, he wasn't there because Renee took you away, but he's there now and he's trying, And I feel like he's got the cop instincts that he's had going on forever, and now he's trying to figure out how to. So I feel like, it's like a weird, because he's like, yo, can I put him in jail? Can I do that?
Can I do that? Like, he's so ready.
But yeah, no, I love Charlie. I liked seeing him through Edward's eyes. Also, I love how Alice is the one who endears herself to the family.
Yes.
Like, if that was a nice.
I love that he loves Alice.
A nice sapphic romance going on,
Ooh. I love that he loves her. I think that's great. What I was gonna say was Yep.
Before you go, I just want to say, so do you remember when they were in the car and Alice is making decisions and shifting her decisions to make the right outcome?
When she's in the car
So
with
this is when they were going to the hospital and they were in the car.
Yes. I love that.
That was so great. Like,
that was great.
Like a bunch of pages and there were like minutes of things happening and they were all in the future. I thought that was so cool.
I love how at the end of the chapter he's like, I like get out the car and prepare to go through it all right now for the first time. Because like you really see, I love that they have like the rewind and she's like, oh no, that's and then she like starts again. That's great.
I know.
What I was gonna say was, speaking of parents, I loved Esme's relationship with.
Oh my gosh, I know. One of my favorite was the bathroom when he took a shower, and Esme was like, I can hear the water dripping. Like,
oh, when he came in, no, he came out in from outside, and he was like, look, I got you.
Taking a shower. Okay.
No, he did take a shower at some point, which I was like, wait, y'all take shower? That's something else. So I don't know if like are you allowed to have passages read in your book, in your
yeah, for the purposes of, if it's for the purposes of a review or something.
Got you. Okay, so it's just like really short. So this is the part, because I love this part. So just I'm gonna read a little bit behind just for context. Okay. Where are Alice and Jasper? Emmett was watching the game again. Hunting. Jasper wants to be ready. Funny thing. Oh, so this is like the night before Bella comes over to the house. Funny thing. Seemed like he was excited for tonight. Oh no, sorry. This is when they're about to go play baseball. Funny thing. Seemed like he was excited for tonight, more than I would have expected. Funny, I agreed, though I had a little more insight into why. Edward, dear, I can hear you dripping on my floors. Please change it to something dry and mop that up. Like, bro. And he's like, sorry, Esme.
She's so sweet, but she's like, like that tone is like, you better do it, bro.
Like, we're not doing this, boy. We're not doing this.
But yes, no, I love their relationship. I love that you could actually see her affection, both in her thoughts and in her actions, you know?
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, I love... And she's just always so concerned about him, and like you can tell in her thoughts, and like all she wants is for him to be happy.
Like she loves Bella because he loves Bella, you know?
Yes, and like she really comes to love her. Like that shit is so funny.
Mm-hmm. So you remember, and I read this in Twilight because I skipped ahead and then reading it in Midnight Sun. You remember when in the hospital, when he's like, okay, you know, I'm gonna leave you, and her heartbeat is pounding and stuff like that. And you remember, I was like, bro, like you can't read her mind or read the room. Like, why would you do that now? You know how she responds. You know, sir. You know.
I don't know why this man keep giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like there were so many points when I was reading this book, and I was like, he has to think she's a dumb bitch. Like he has to. Like there's no way that he doesn't.
He's a dumb bitch, okay?
No. He really is. But I really feel bad saying this, right? Because it definitely has to do, well, not necessarily bad, but I want to curtail this. And I know that it's intentional because of, or I don't know if it's intentional, but it's because of the way that she's written and stuff like that. But I sincerely like Edward more than I like Bella. Bella is annoying. I do like her. I don't.
You know what's hilarious? Sorry. When I started the narrative, I was like, you know, I really like his narrative more. And I was like, I think I like him a bit more than her. And you were like, you know, I don't know about that. So I love the change up.
No, okay, because this man needs therapy. The self-loathing that he has going on, the amount of self-loathing that this man has, like, I need him to go to therapy. I sincerely do. Like,
no, I completely agree. Speaking of self-loathing, not completely self-loathing, but just getting into self-aggrandizement and love, you should sift on into Rosalie.
Rosalie's my homegirl. I know that she is meant to be annoying in this book, but I actually hate the way that she's written.
But I also think that is justifiable.
Right, like I just think she wasn't written to be sympathetic enough, and I think she's so justified in the emotions that she feels most of the time. She was bugging when Edward was like, "Yo, take her upstairs and switch her clothes," and she was like, "Nah, but like, why am I putting this girl in my life so she could put my family in danger?"
Mm-hmm.
And Edward just hit her with a Esme. He said, "Bitch,
I
ain't finna address you." I ain't finna address you, sis. Like, that's not what we do. At the end of the book, when he was like, I don't know what was going on, but he was like, yeah, that he hadn't spoken to Rosalie since thing. I said, oh, look at Edward holding grudges.
I know. The other thing too, though. Woo! Did you hear what almost came out?
The little eyelid coming out? The eyelid came out.
I blame mommy. She just walked past. The other thing. She said I can't blame her because she's gone. The other thing, wow, this is gonna be so natural too.
Bye.
So the other thing too, though, is I understand how she feels about him and like, you know, in terms of protecting their family and all of that stuff, right? But you holding out and being obstinate is not gonna help the family, and it's definitely not gonna help Emmett as you continue. Even if you argue with Edward later and you tell him like, okay, like just drop her, okay, just drop her, feed her to him if that's what it takes. Whatever, you guys have that argument later. But in this moment, in this right now, like it's not the time for grudges. And with that said, like, you know, your emotions don't wait for the right time, obviously. But if Emmett is at the forefront of your mind,
you need to, right. Like, you could have, when he told her to go upstairs and when he was like, yo, take her and switch her clothes, she could have grabbed Bella and be like, yo, if something happens to Emmett, like, I'm killing you. But, like, let's go, Bella. And you don't have to be nice to her.
She could have snapped Bella's arm as they walked upstairs. Whatever.
But okay, I was thinking about her snatching her up, like, yo, let's go. And if something happened to my man, it's you. Like,
and then something happens to Bella and Edward's like, haha, it's actually you. Right. Man.
Okay, but had she snapped Bella's arm, you know, Edward would have killed her on the spot, bro.
Oh yeah. I don't think even Jasper's like ability.
Coming?
Yeah, nope. I don't even think that would have worked to stop him.
Not at all.
Rage? He would not have been able to come back from that.
Can you imagine? He would kill her on the spot.
And he would kill her on the spot. He would be definitely devastated.
Because now Bella's arm broken and his sister dead. But speaking of Jasper, I love that we got to see Jasper's power, like, explained so much better. Both for Alice and Jasper's power got, like, expanded so much more. Because, again, makes sense. Edward could read their mind. He knows what's going on. Also, so it's presented better.
It feels like knowing Edward, for Bella, everybody's just, like, pedestalized. And,
yeah,
you know, there's no differentiation. There's no... You know, there was one article I was reading that was like, you know, how come Jasper can like push his feelings onto like Bella and blah blah blah, but it's not necessarily a mind related thing. Like,
no, it's not a mind thing. That's why she can, because remember Jane from the Volturi?
What was her power again? I couldn't remember.
She could like torture people with her gaze.
Yes. Okay.
But it was a trick of the mind. That's why it didn't work on Bella. But Jasper's did, because it's like your tangible emotions.
Yes. Oh, I liked Carlisle too. Like I liked him in the books, like the original series, and I liked him here as well. Like hearing his thoughts.
I do too.
Just how I feel like he wasn't overdone as the kind of like savior, like the priestly character.
The Christ he
has his demons.
Figure.
Yes, he still has his demons. He is a demon, if you hear Edward tell it. But
no, don't you know they're all demons except Carlisle?
This is true. You're right. You're so right, girl. But you know, he has his demons, but he's settled in with himself, and so I appreciate like the acceptance. Like you remember when Edward goes on his stint and he's like killing all the like bad guys and stuff like that, and they're just so excited to see him. You know, that's all their concern. And I love that, both from Esme and Carlisle. Speaking of which, though, like that scene, reading Port Angeles from his perspective.
That was so crazy. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I know this is really morbid, and I know I need to work on this, but I wish we had gone into more detail. Like I do. I'm not gonna hold you.
Which part? When Edward, when Carlisle like drugged them and like, you know, whatever.
No, just like about the thoughts that the guy was having, because like he hinted at it.
Oh,
yeah, which is really morbid. I know. But like, she could have just made it murder instead of rape and murder. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have just been like, "Ooh, let me like disembowel." Like, okay, that's really. I'm sorry, girl. That's not what your channel is about. But yeah, like,
on that note, like loosely related note, I don't know why, but I love when they just drugged the lady in the minivan and just dropped her.
That was rude.
They were like, this is the most beautiful man she's ever seen, and then bam, like the needle's already coming out of her arm.
Yes. Like, ma'am, this is why y'all can't get caught up in pretty faces.
I know.
Let this be a lesson. Let these
Twilight is one lesson.
Okay, now that we're talking about women and beauty and stuff, that scene in the restaurant with the waitress
when she wanted to write her name in marinara sauce.
Yes, bro.
Also, on that note, I think this is the first time when he talks about Bella, like, taking the apples, like, Bella's Persephone and him as Hades.
No, he's forever talking about it.
I thought this was, I don't know why I remember this scene distinctly as it, because he's definitely talking about it later, but did he talk about it beforehand?
I think you know what, let me do a logo. You keep talking and I'll type in Persephone into my find.
Okay. Or Persephone and or apples. But my thing, like, Bella's a little too pale to be anybody's spring, okay?
Okay,
so
talk about it.
Okay, on the topic of paleness, why is she see-through? Okay? My albino friends are not see-through. They are extremely pale. And
she's not see-through. Don't be disrespectful. She's translucent.
She's translucent and see-through. He says her see-through skin at some point. He called her see-through.
No, you lying.
Look for it. Look for it.
No, I believe you.
And I understand the point that they're making. However, this is something that I remember seeing a lot in like vampire fiction. I remember them being see-through. They are not clear. They are not plastic. They're not translucent.
Marble, baby, not hard plastic.
Jesus Christ. I'll even potentially take translucent. It's just the connotations of see-through, like, because translucent just sounds like a fancy, like, just super pale, right? But you said the words see-through.
You know what it reminds me of? Remember their first biology class where he's actually talking to her and they're looking at the onion skin under the microscope and like the skin is like basically like see-through? That's what that makes me think of.
She's not a window pane.
She's not a what?
A window pane? Maybe a dirty window pane. You can kind of see things through it, but she is not a window. She's not a window.
You're so rude.
I'm just saying.
Listen, you don't understand. She's cream and apricots.
Okay, but I kind of like that though.
Okay, I do too.
Because it wasn't peaches and cream. We got a little spicy in there. We got creams and apricots. Also, there was a video I watched and somebody, or a Goodreads review or something, and somebody was like, I didn't expect Jessica to be so mean. You guys were not reading this. We were reading different books.
We were reading different series. Right.
How vitriolic her thoughts were, that was very different. But she was always the shady one.
Always.
On that note, going back to the only woman or whatever, like the not like other girls, he really, like, all of them except for Bella and his like direct and Alice, because Alice was so sweet, and Esme, except for his sister and mother. Like, Rose was just caring about her beauty. Like, the problem, like, she got jealous so quickly. Jessica and the other girl, was there someone named Lauren?
What were you gonna say? Were you gonna say Rebecca?
I said Regina. I wasn't thinking
Regina? Girl, that's wrong series, boo. Wrong movie.
I know, I'm sorry. Anyway, Lauren, like, they're all just mean and terrible. Angela's nice too. Angela's the only sweet one. And I guess it's because, like, Belle's has to have, like, at least, I guess, one sweet girlfriend or whatever.
Right. Because,
but remember,
setting up the plot for
prominently in the series. Like,
she does not until Eclipse, and then only barely.
So this thing with the women in this novel, like, Renee is flighty, and, like, come on, she's like, oh my god, he's calling. Oh wait, no, should I stay? And I feel like it's better hearing her thoughts, right? Like, because you hear, like, oh damn, I should have, like, had him call the hospital or found the number, blah blah blah. But just reading it from Bella's point of view, it's like, oh my god, he's calling. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, baby, should I stay?
I love that. That there's like the one part where she was like, "Oh, but like, look, like I stayed in the hospital," and Bella's like, "Yeah," and then she was like, And then Edward was like, she felt bad about her bragging. And it's like, you should, ma'am. That's your daughter.
Also, Edward was still, like, he's so ready to be uncharitable to everybody else, but I guess because this is the mother of his... Because
yes.
when she's being narcissistic, he uses the word narcissist, but...
He does.
He still views it in like a charitable light.
But there's not as much as like a vitriol behind it. Let that have been Jessica acting like that.
Mm-hmm. Jessica's thoughts pushing themselves onto everybody's person. And oh man, that'd be so different.
So different. And then the way that he talks about the girl, like the waitress and the hostess in the when they're in Port Angeles, and they're like, oh, they're so vulgar. Like, sir,
they're so vulgar. But I love the way he was talking about human faces when he first became like a vampire, just like mounds of flesh and just like it's
and like, ew, it sounded so nasty. He said they're pitted flesh
so much.
It's like it's all fleshy and just blah. He was not with it at all. He said, ew, y'all ugly. Look. Okay, this is not exactly the part that you're talking about, but there's this one scene where he's like, this sentence where he's like, the human faces were so completely different from ours. Their dull, pitted skin, their poorly molded features, so rounded. Oh, yes, it is. So rounded and lumpy. The mottled colors of their imperfect flesh. Sir, what is going on? The clouded, roomy eyes must be nearly blind, I thought, if they could really believe we belong to their world. Sir, the contempt
is deep. It runs deep.
I cannot deal with this man, Edward.
Do you want to touch on race? You know, people have talked about the fact that the pale people and then the Native Americans are just like the dogs.
Yes, girl, yes.
They still lose. They still lose to the pale ones, the cold ones. But you know, and it's kind of like in a lot of stories, like, you know, we do have Jacob as a love interest, but he's never really got a chance with Bella, not truly. And, you know, it would be different, I feel like, if you were a white man, and I'm sure there's going to be people that are like, oh my God, why does it have to be different? Because it is. Because the love interest of the love interest of color very rarely, unless it's a book written by a person of color, then maybe that's something different. But when it comes to the comparison between them two, it's going to be the white guy.
So I don't remember if Bella places as much emphasis on this, right, in Twilight. But in Midnight Sun, you know, I know she often talks about, like, they talk about his red undertones and he's like this russet wolf or whatever. But especially in the second book and in the third book, there's like such a fixation on like his brown hand and his dark skin, like the white smile and stuff. And I'm like,
on the one hand, okay, it's the contrast, right? Because, you know, she's see-through out here and he's like melanated. Like
you're making me ugly laugh on your channel. Why are you making me cackle like that? And
he's melanated like times 1,000. But
imagine if they had a black man for real, child.
If Laurent was actually black, I mean, remember we get like
wasn't Tyler black in the movie? Was he black in the movie? Not in the book.
I don't remember. Side note, so I read this thing that like Stephenie Meyer did not want to add color to the movie. Like the director was able to get Laurent to be black, and it was like, but he's the bad guy. And maybe, you know, potentially we're reading too much into this, but this is also what we generally see and was generally portrayed, so we're gonna read into it. And you know, but she was talking about thinking of Alice as Japanese, and I can see that because she's described as like pixie-like, as tiny, as like all of the typical, like she's tiny, her dark hair. But side note, I loved when one of the vampires was described as Alice size. Like, I love that she's
I love that. Oh, Maggie. It was Maggie.
Yes. So, but anyway, though, you know, like, and so it's crazy that in Breaking Dawn, I wonder if somebody pointed this out to her, and she was like, yeah, okay, they were like washed out black, like, fine, okay, fine. But if they're supposed to be
washed out black,
it doesn't sound very attractive. Like, can't they? I don't know. Like,
okay, no. Speaking about it not sounding attractive. So there's this one, so you know in New Moon, when they are in Volterra, so obviously they're Italian or whatever, and these people might be Greek or whatever, I don't know. But when she goes to save Edward, you said what?
There's an Egyptian, right? Or did Edward just mention Egyptian vampire?
No, there is an Egyptian vampire in I said Ebug, child. Breaking Dawn.
How do they say Breaking Dawn?
I think it's just, when I saw the title, I think it was just Amanecer.
Huh.
Which is like...
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Crepúsculo. But yeah, so like Dimitri and Felix, and he talks about, or Bella does rather, about how they're like there's like a slight olive tint to their skin, which looks weird with the chalkiness of the skin tone
Like,
of
course
vampires.
but they're vampires, so they're supposed to like incorporate it better, right?
Right, except they don't, because they're the evil people. You know, had it been Edward who was out here being tan, you know, olive skinned, it might be different.
Because you know our love interest can be olive skinned, but not like black. I'm gonna pause for a quick second. I want to get Breaking Dawn so that I can see the description of like, because there was a vampire that was on their side, right? That was Egyptian or black or someplace.
Yes, his name was like Moon. Amundi. And then there's like Xena and them and the girls from the vampires from the Amazon, and I feel like they might have had a little complexion to them. I feel like they was black, but maybe not. I don't know.
Xena. Okay, I'm gonna spell it like. Okay, nope. Is it an actual Z? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Z. It's a Z.
Oh.
You thought it was an X?
Yeah.
Nah, we not out here being exotic, boo.
I mean, Alice couldn't be Asian, so first of all, Amun, which is like, you know, related to Amun Ra, like I feel like she didn't really put that much effort into the Egyptian names, but she got Kebi. I don't know if Kebi is related to any of the gods, but okay. And then we have Benjamin and Tia. So the only one
Benjamin and Tia, very generic.
Right? The only one that seems to get a description is, okay, so it seemed an unlikely grouping, though the Egyptians all looked so alike with their midnight hair and olive-toned pallor that they easily could have passed for a biological family. And so they look so alike, so you can't describe them, even though all of the others sound like they look so.
Bro, that is so damn disrespectful.
So I feel like these are probably like real names or whatever, authentic names. But Kachiri just sounds like she made it up.
That's because it's not Kachiri, you American. It's Kachiri.
Hold on. Alice told us we needed to separate, Zafrina answered in the rough, deep voice that matched her wild appearance. Okay, so even if that's the case, like, it just sounds problematic. As the only
like, what that mean?
Vampires. That's all she would tell us, except that Zafrina.
Why does Rosalie get to sound like music? Alice be out here trilling like bells. Bella is all. Don't do that.
Listen, that's how she sounded, okay? But
don't do that.
For a fuller description of Zafrina, but yeah, like it's, and again, we could be reading into this, maybe, possibly.
She's a white woman who wrote this. You know, white women love them some tropes about exoticism. Girl.
Also, I forgot to like acknowledge the background change, guys, because my laptop died in the middle of our recording before, and my mom's still making dinner, so you'll hear that in the background. But yes, okay. Carlisle, the taller of the two very tall feline women, greeted him when they arrived. Both of them seemed as if they'd been stretched. Long arms and legs, long fingers, long black braids, and long faces with long noses. They wore nothing but animal skins, hide vests, and tight-fitting pants that laced on the sides with leather ties. It wasn't just their eccentric clothes that made them seem wild, but everything about them, from their restless crimson eyes to their sudden darting movements. I'd never met any vampires less civilized.
Bro, that is so fucking problematic. Like, girl, we gonna have to do a review of Twilight, just like the whole series.
Oh, because... yeah. No, totally. But I don't understand. I wanted to, because I feel like they said, there was something I remember vaguely, her mentioning like that their skin looked like washed out. And I want to try to find that before we end this. I cannot find that. But however, just again, the way the distinctions that are made, and part of it, okay, that might be because they're from the Amazon and you're going for whatever, wherever they are, but it just seems very jarring. Like the Irish characters aren't wild and unkempt.
Right, and they have Irish Moors and stuff. Like, why?
You know,
I feel like the only person who's kind of given that is Alistair, who's like, Alistair? How you say that?
Alistair, I think it's whatever.
Okay, him, but he's like always painted as like this vampire. He's a recluse. He don't really want to talk to nobody. And maybe Garrett. Remember Garrett?
Vaguely.
He's the revolution, the the Revolutionary era vampire.
Yes, I saw his name.
Him,
vaguely familiar.
I feel like he is like maybe a little bit of that, but everybody else gets to be beautiful and polished. Although to be fair, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I also feel like they get longer, drawn out descriptions. These women were just all long, and that's all you needed to know.
Right. I mean, the way they did the Egyptian people was so dirty. They let's say, yeah, these people got black hair and olive skin,
and they all look alike,
and they all look the same. Because brown people, they all look the same. But I also feel like, to Bella's credit, or the one thing that I will give is that like she's no longer a human. So she's not as mesmerized by their appearance. Like they're no longer like these, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the one thing I'm willing to give her.
They don't have to, she doesn't have to get as involved in everything because they're not like mesmerizingly beautiful anymore. You're so right.
Right. Like everybody's just regular at this point. But yeah, like
regular vamps who suck blood.
But all of that to say that I actually really enjoyed this book.
Despite how it might sound.
It was very nostalgic.
Yes, I agree. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was super long. I don't even know, like I have things to edit, but I'm sure it's still going to be nice and long. So I hope you guys are as diehard fans as we are. Please interact with the comments, like, subscribe.
Because we could always talk about Twilight forever.
Oh yeah, it's wild. Even in the past few years, whenever we'd bring it up, it would launch into this insanely detailed conversation that was detailed for no real reason. Like it was like you haven't read the book in 5, 6,
years.
7, 8 years, and you're still going so hard for the characters that you hate or proclaim to hate and that you trash talk. But I will say,
wait, I know you're closing out, but there's something that I just remembered what I don't like about Bella more than her just being like obsessed with this man. Her lack of a sense of self-preservation is ridiculous. Like,
Clumsy is not a character trait. There has to be more.
What is? Oh, klutzy? Oh, girl. I hate it.
I appreciate one thing I like about this narrative is that she becomes 2.5 dimensional to Edward, where she's just 1 dimensional. She's still not fully 3-dimensional. No,
she is not. I also think that it's crazy that he's like, it's so funny to me that she's mad klutzy and that's how people see her because she just has this grace about her. Sir, is it Uchi Wally or is it one mic? We can't be out here having it both ways, sir. That's not, no.
Like she gracefully like collapses or falls or gracefully stops breathing when he like kisses her in the back.
Like, wait.
Yes.
The masochistic lion, the sick masochistic lion. I really listen.
The stupid lamb.
And the stupid lamb. However, he really, bro, he was dead out here sucking her venom and said like, nah, I love you. Like I'm gonna do this. I can do this because this is how much I love you. And you could leave the possessiveness and all the extra shit. Also, this man has like a lot of anxiety disorders.
All of it.
But beyond like I want a nigga to love me passionately the way that Edward loves Bella, sans the obsessive.
The insanity? Yes. Like the passion is great. The stalker behavior is not.
Nah, we could leave that. Bro, he was really out here climbing. Can you imagine? First of all, you really got to know how you write your characters because, like, I mean, I'm blind, so I guess it wouldn't make a difference. But if I could see, like, that would never work with me. Do you know how wild my sleeping schedule is? And I just be popping up in the middle of the night like, bro, are you sitting in my
chair? Remember, he was, like, in the shadows initially.
Mm-hmm. But then he moved out and my good sir was dead sitting on the rocker like.
I know. I know.
Yeah, I'm just rocking here. Like.
Oh man, I also loved when she's like rushing upstairs and Charlie's like worried like that she's gonna sneak out and he goes and like I don't know what he does with her ever, but like he's like no.
He doesn't. That's where Edward got the idea from.
He just learned from her father.
Okay. You know what? The problematicness of the men.
It's the patriarchy. It's all the patriarchy's fault. In conclusion, that's what this is the takeaway of. Patriarchy bad.
But yes, I loved it. Enjoyed the book. I really want there to be more books.
More, yeah. The rest from his perspective. I'll even take the book from Jacob's perspective, though. I think that'd be interesting. Devastating, but interesting.
Nah, you gotta take Eclipse. Oh, you know what? what? Maybe we'll have like a flip scene. We could have a flip scene between Edward and Jacob for New Moon and Eclipse. You know what? Girl, that's a good idea. Okay. I was just reading, when I was reading New Moon, I forgot how obsessed she was. Like, okay, so the one thing that I will say that I kind of like about these stories is that there's always like a theme to it surrounding like a classic. So in the second book it's Romeo and Juliet, and the third book it's Wuthering Heights, which I haven't read Wuthering Heights in years, but love Wuthering Heights. But Romeo and Juliet, she just kept fixating on like, oh, Paris, like what happens if Romeo had left because he wanted to or whatever. And Paris was like, you know, what if he wasn't one-dimensional? What if she started to like him? Could she fall in love with Paris? Never as much as Romeo, of course.
Of course.
So you know enough. And I'm just like, girl, if you let that man make his life and let him imprint on your child.
Man, that was just a wild series. That was just the imprinting. I remember Nettie came home, my sister was a teacher, and she was like, so somebody imprints on a baby or something? And she was talking about ducks imprinting in class, and somebody's like, oh, is that like what happened with Jacob? And she was just like, what? Kids reading.
Okay, but wait, because you want to know what the worst part of that whole thing was? What? The non-Twilight readers were like, when they would hear, they're like, bro, what kind of pedophilic? Yeah, yeah. And we were all like, nah, you don't get it. It's not like that. Like, you don't understand.
It's not grooming because, you know, like, it's different. Why?
It's different. Because it is. Because right now he's like her brother. And it's not until she wants to see him like her man that he's going to start feeling him. And they're like, what are you talking about?
He's so ridiculous.
Bro, we were wilding. It was really violent. But I mean, there were girls out here excusing, and I feel like I might have been one of them. Like, I feel like when I first read it, I was outraged, and I was like, this is not okay, but I also kind of excused it a little bit when Edward was out here.
Weird, but okay.
When he was taking out the engine from her car, and then do you remember like when that one time that she sneaked away to see Jacob, and then she's driving, and then this nigga Edward just pop up behind her like, yeah, I'm following you, drive home, we about to talk, I'm about to, look, yo, you grounded. I know Charlie said you wasn't, but you are.
Man,
okay. Charlie. And when Alice kidnapped, bro, Alice is a traitor, okay? Ma'am, you are rich. Like, rich beyond imagining. You could buy your own car. Why you let Edward trick you into being like, yo, okay, you can't let her run away with this man, and I'm gonna buy you a car. Like, what is going on?
I mean, because it's different though. Like, we don't want to spend our own money.
Okay, you know what? I respect that. Spending money. I respect that. Never mind. You got it.
We definitely have to talk about the other books. You know what the crazy thing is? I'm sure we'll touch into this territory, but we'll still have way more to talk about.
Because don't we always, girl? But, conclusion. Really enjoyed this book. I did. I'm not gonna lie.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I'll see you in the next one.